Hello. We're live, I think. Chelsea will tell us if you can hear us soon, I hope. Um, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be starting off season arc chunks, or as I've put in chat, what I've been calling it is arc chunk 2. So we've got lots of familiar faces with me. I'm your GM, Elise. Hi. And you will see lots of familiar faces above and below me, but also one new face. So let's go ahead and do a quick introduction of our players. At the very top of my screen, we have Rachel. And Rachel this season is playing Alvi Melita.
That is who I'm playing. Both my and my character's pronouns are she, her. And should I say like the class I'm playing
Yeah.
or? Okay, I am playing a Vermisian Sage this time. I am a researcher. And so that means that I get to be smart and know some things this time. Can I read Chelsea's Spire poem for us?
Please read Chelsea's Spire poem for us.
It says, OMG, Spire is here. I'm so danged excited. Amazing roleplay. Party splits, days lasting a year. Absolutely, the trend has already been cited. So many amazing people here on this screen. Elise, I'm delighted to say you are heard and seen.
Thank you, Chelsea. Always
Yay.
so appreciated, not only that you confirm for us that we are seen and heard, but even more so that you do so with such beautiful and fun poetry every time. So you are so wonderful, such a blessing. Thank you. Thanks, Rachel. And then Sarah. Sarah is playing Din Mayana.
Hello. That's how I always introduce myself to my students. I'm like, hello. My character's pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am playing a masked. And so I spent a lot of time with the High Elfir, and how much detail do we want to go into?
Oh,
I
just
don't
a
know.
little bit maybe of like what the class, kind of like for missing
Okay.
sages, they're kind of researchers and the masked are
Okay. So yeah, so I'm kind of like sneaky, deceivy. I worked, like I said, I worked for a long time for the High Elves, and so I have a lot of experience doing maybe, let's say, unscrupulous things. um, I have a lot of experience in spying, so we're gonna see what that does.
awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Next in our little vertical boxes, Sam, this season playing Etik Charmeuse.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so my character, Edix Charmuse, he is short and stout drow, and he is much like Rachel's character, is a Vermisian sage. However, yeah, and he's also French. Somehow the French invaded Spire. Uh and he is, however, not really too doesn't really care too much about his Vermisian sage duties, uh, outside of what information they can bring to him, because he has something of a very dark and very illegal side to the nature of what he does. But I'll leave that a mystery for right now, and I'll leave it to Elise to tell us whoever's next.
It's me. I forgot to say my pronouns are she, her, hers, so I'm gonna do that now. And then below me is Tyler. This season playing Belarauka, and I don't have your last name handy at the moment, but you can tell everyone.
Fenthorn is the last name,
Benthorn,
yes.
thank you.
Yes. Hi, y'all. Both me and my character's pronouns are he, him, his, and I will be playing an Eidolon, which is a bit of a funky class that technically doesn't exist. Elise and I have spent some time reskinning Blood Witch class to fit this. So you can probably guess, what bend that's going to have to it. An Eidolon in Spire is a conduit for containing and communicating with demons. So one of them. Normally it's an artificial object, but our high elf friends have learned to make drow eidolons. They normally don't survive the process. I did. So we're going to see where that goes. And yeah, that's me.
Okay, and last but not least, at the bottom of the screen, Ava playing Chu, the Queen of Excess.
Hello. Yeah, the name's a little extra, but so is the character, so I think it's fine. I'm playing Chu, the Queen of Excess. She is an idol, which means that she's like an artist who uses song and dance to kind of like use magic essentially and kind of bend things around to her will. My character also has ties to the Hungry Deep. So she is very much into, I think, dismantling some of those preconceived notions of beauty while also leaning heavily into them for an advantage. So we'll see how she plays out. But yeah, that's my character. Oh, my pronouns are she, her, and so are my characters.
Excellent. Okay. So this season season arc chunk, we do not have to roll for Kelvy turning into a bug. How relaxing comparatively. I'm sure nothing else will ever be stressful in this game. But I should say, I know that we have the content warnings on the screen, but I just, it being the first game of this season, do want to reiterate that Spire is a dark system. It's a dark world, and we will be dealing with dark themes. This season is going to have some heavy themes, especially around drug use and abuse and addiction. Some heavy themes around kind of violence and like gore, I guess. Like I'm not going to be like super extra descriptive, but you should just be aware. And to some, as always with Spire, there's going to be some body horror things, and bugs, because Spire, the system, just lots of bugs in that system. So I do want to just make sure that those content warnings are highlighted, and you're reminded that we love well, I will eventually do something about that. And yeah, okay, so with that said, I think we ready.
Do we want to choose our stuff now or?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So if we want to fix these things, it's just going to be on the screen, and it's just going to be part of the video, because I can't, unless I can. I don't think that. Can I just like right click people and like slide their volumes on Discord, or am I going to have to?
Yeah,
go into
that's what you'd have to do. Yeah.
Okay. So I can just. Well, I don't think I can do that for myself though.
You can if you adjust your input gain.
Are people saying that we're not good volumes?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that.
Are we too quiet? Or
That's
too
because I
loud?
had it DM'd to me.
Oh,
Fine. Look,
that's less helpful if you don't
wait.
just tell us in the chat.
These needs to come up a little bit. I feel like I'm already so loud. Up a few.
I mean, it would have been fine if I had been the person in charge of levels, but unfortunately, I'm not right now. So I just needed to pass the message on.
Okay. Well, that's that. What fix was that just happened is what we're getting.
Yeah, go away. Let us know how it was. Thank you.
Yeah. And I don't know about mine.
Heather
so...
and Chelsea said everybody's okay for them. So
Okay. Well, if it changed, if they feel like I have overcorrected anybody, then what did I do with Ava?
Am I too loud or too quiet?
What I was asking is if we should do the
I know.
pre-session stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 3 things because we don't have Kelvy slowly turning into a bug, but we do have 3 things we have to do before every session. 2 of them are the same thing, which is Rachel and Sam, as Vermissian Sages, have an ability where they can pick a skill to have a knack in for the session. So knacks are things that you can do extra well within one of the skills, which are one of the core mechanics of the game. And they get to pick one each session, but it can't be too similar to the one before, essentially. So,
Can I read what it is and why we have it for the first session?
Sure.
Just the
Yeah, go for it.
explanation for
Mhm.
we have a ability called Obsessive Researcher that says you spend every quiet moment filling your brain with knowledge which is often fleeting. At the start of each session, gain a knack of your choosing in any skill or domain, even if you don't normally have access to that skill or domain. At the end of the session, you lose that knack. You can't have the same knack 2 sessions in a row. You get bored and must expand your mind in different ways. Yeah. So we're just, at least I know I am very much an obsessive person. And so, but then I get bored with things and move on to other things. I think Sam already knew what he was going to do, so he can maybe say his
Yeah,
first while
go
I
for it,
still
Sam.
figure it out.
Yeah, so the knack that I've chosen is in the skill of pursue, and it's specifically regarding trying to find things like artifacts and stuff.
Excellent.
So
Can
if I'm ever
I
trying to do that, I get to roll an additional d10.
can I also do pursue,
Mhm.
but in terms of maybe finding and easily finding my Gutterkin friends
Yeah.
to like have easy access to give them my messages.
Yeah, that
Okay.
works for me. Okay. And the third thing we will have to do is Kelvy.
It's gonna happen all the time.
Oh, so sad. Um, also, I should scroll down so you guys can see the beautiful art. Look at this beautiful art. Several of these were drawn by our very own players. Chu is Ava and was drawn by Ava, by Bethany, right? And then
Yeah.
with with input and support from Ava. Edic is Sam, and Sam drew and created Edic's art, and Rauka is Tyler, who also drew and created Rauka's art. So amazing work from our very own players and related folks. And then the other 2, Din and Alvi. Alvi was you said you kind of played with some
Just stock images so that I
stock
wasn't
images. Yeah.
stealing people's artwork on the
Yeah, I
internet,
did
you
the
know?
same. I found like one that's like Creative Commons license of like a mask because Sarah's character is a masked character, and I was like, this will work, and just stuffed it in there. So,
I literally looked for like frizzy curly haired lady.
yeah.
So,
And
you
this
know.
is yes. So I just wanted to share that like several of these beautiful art tokens are created by our very own players and their related folks. So A++ to you all. Okay, and that distracted me from Rauka needs to roll a D10 at the beginning of every session, and you want to go ahead and tell people what it's for. I can actually put it up on the screen too, so that people can read along as you're kind of explaining it,
Yeah, sure.
if that's okay with you.
Yeah, by all means. So this is I affectionately refer to myself as a meat puppet with this character because while I sleep, Ashira, the demon that is hitchhiking, gets to stretch her legs, and I get to learn some stuff. It's going to be different. Most times I roll a d10 here. We got a 1. So that's the spider. So I gained the fixed skill and the academia domain for this session. And did I miss anything there, Elise? I didn't have it in front of me. I was just kind of great. Awesome.
Okay. Does that do it for all the pregame setup stuff that we have to do? Is it time? Is it time to get ourselves into season arc chunk 2 of Spire? Excited? I'm
Hype, hype.
excited. Hype. Oh my god, GDQ is coming up too, so we can be hyped about that too. That's it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. So we are, for the most part, going to be. Last time, Derelictus was kind of our base of operations, with some places that we frequented in the gardens and in New Heaven. And this time, we will be returning a bit to the scenery of New Heaven off and on, but also mostly located in Perch, which is new to us. So I'll go ahead and take us over to Perch. Oh, look at that. So zoomed in. Let me know if the music is too loud or anything. This nice little visual representation from the book. Perch exists on the outside of Spire, as its name kind of suggests. It is perched on the outside, kind of built onto the tower of the spire, and is mostly held up by ropes, wood planks. There's pretty much one stable structure in all of Perch, and that is the gutter. And the gutter is, let me know if anyone in chat says anything like the music is too loud, please, players.
Yeah.
And the gutter is this kind of, it's a long defunct sewer system that doesn't run as a sewer system anymore, but is pretty stable, sturdy. So among all of the very rickety parts of the Perch, or of Perch, the gutter is where people go when things start falling, or if things from the outside come towards Perch, it's the stablest spot around. There's also the boundary fires of Perch. You can see them in the image here. There are 5 great bonfires of Perch that keep the smoke in the air to block the sun. Remember that the residents of Perch are by and large drow, and in this world, as in many fantasy world, drow are unable to withstand very much exposure to sunlight. So the boundary fires never go out. They are kept alive with constant kind of feeding of wood and other items that people burn. The fires are also considered to house gods, as many things in Perch are. So Perch is a place of small gods. It's a place where people believe that the little things that you carry on your body are holy because they are the things that you're guaranteed to have with you at the end of the day. Anything much bigger than that you can carry with you could fall off, could be gone. Perch changes a lot because of things like whole sections collapsing and falling. So most people stay strapped in, connected to other parts of the Perch through ropes that they hold on their body, and that they believe are inhabited by gods. That's Perch, and that's where our players have been called together. So for just so everyone knows, you know that the Ministry is a thing. The Ministry being, the association of drow, mostly, almost exclusively drow, who worship the dark side of the moon, which the goddess Lekole, and she, their worship of her, yeah, Lena, I agree. And so their worship of her includes the desire to bring down the high elf occupation of the city and liberate the drow from high elf oppression. And the Ministry works as kind of a cell, tiered operation. Freedom fighters, terrorists, depends on which side you're kind of on. Notably, Edic, who is Sam's character, is more of a consultant for the Ministry, has not actually made any vows or conversions or things, which is a pretty rare thing with the Ministry. They don't like to trust folks who have not kind of sworn in on the whole, let's take down the high elves, rah rah rah. But with that in mind, let's get into what what brings you all together today? So you all share, for the four of you who are part of the ministry, you have been called by your magister. The magisters are those folks who are kind of like one step up, so they're not like you. You're like the ground level operatives, right? The magisters are like the people in charge of your little cell of people. I'm sorry, I just saw the chat. Heather was like, "What if the wall collapses?" Then bye. Not a great place to be. And I'm gonna minimize this chat for now, so I don't keep getting distracted because it's so easy to be like, um, yes. So your magister, a person or a drow, whose name is Lukash, who uses they, them, theirs pronouns. And Lukash has called you, unlike your previous campaign, magister. Lukash meets in person with you in Perch. Operates different than S, who was your former, was the dog. Your former one. And Lukash has called you all together, including Edik, to a small room, as many rooms in Perch are very small, where they have assembled you all around a table. And here we go. They sit you down. You can see they've got this pile of papers in front of them. And on the top of the pile of papers is a newspaper clipping from The Torch. And The Torch is Perch's most prestigious of newspapers. It's one of the few newspapers that runs out of the Perch. And the article that is sitting on top, they kind of look around at all of you. They look at Chu for a minute sitting across the table, and they kind of drum their fingers. And then they flip the article around and hand it to Din. And I'll go ahead and show you all. Din can... All right, so in your journal, you should have now a handout. Can you see it? So when Din, do you want to read it for those at the table?
Sure. I will do this in my character voice. That is going to be very interesting for everyone to hear.
Not too quiet. Turning you back up.
Maybe I'll put that closer. So my character tends to kind of like move very intentionally, speaks a little bit slowly, and so she takes the clipping and looks around the table and reads. Killer strikes at Queen of Excess performance. While the crowds went wild for Chu's latest performance, something horrifying awaited the Queen backstage. And I look at Chu, a little bit scared for her. After the finale of her show, Chu returned to her staff as usual, only to find one of her top-level live show producers, Brandon Melfern, was the latest victim of the serial killer, who calls himself the Swan. Miss Melfern, one of the idol's inner circle, leaves behind a brother and 2 nieces. Melfern's murder brings the Swan's known kill count up to 8. Like their previous murders, the Swan's evil deed had no witnesses. Certain typical indicators were present. Melfern's heart had been carved from her chest, and doctors called to the scene confirmed that this happened while she was alive. And true to form, the Swan sent another message to the Torch for publication in the wake of Melfern's death. Interwoven like spider silks, beating heart for bleeding heart, I will pave the path, and this is how I will do it. Authorities continue to advise Perch residents to take extra precautions as the hunt for the Swan continues. Din takes the paper and passes it to Edik and looks down.
Sam, you're muted.
Oh, oh my. This is most troublesome. And I think he just like looks at it, feigns interest, like feigns concern, and kind of passes it to across the table to Rauka.
Chu is very quiet, just kind of watching what everyone's reaction is.
Alfie is straight up staring at you and just drumming her nails on the table.
I forgot to put your new
Very-
token on this page. Sorry.
That's okay. Very uncomfortable and
Oh, yeah. I forgot, yeah.
Lukash, might I ask, why is this a ministry thing? This is a serial killer. Shouldn't the bound be good enough for a thing like this?
Well, it's an interesting question you raise. I think there are two things that make it a ministry issue. One, Chu is one of us. And I believe it would be good to have your accounting of what happened, Chu. And two, and Lukash pulls out some empty syringes and places them on the table. And I think Rauka would definitely know, and it's likely that Eddic would
Mhm.
know that these syringes are delivery mechanisms for the drug sulfur, not Drek, which at least one of you would know is but sulfur, which is the pure form of Drek. So there is Drek is essentially cut sulfur, and we'll get to that in a minute. It'll become relevant, I'm sure. But sulfur is the much purer thing, and it is a byproduct of demonic activity, which is why, so like Lukash sets the vials or the syringes on the table and kind of slides them towards Rauka, or I'm sorry, Eddic. You were the one who asked the question, right? Oh wait, it was Rauka.
It was
No,
Rauka.
My
it was
bad.
me.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Eddic has started laughing. Chu is one of you. Oh gosh, the ministry is so very confusing. Why do you have such prominent figures a part of your supposedly hidden order? It's so ridiculous. I don't understand. This is
you know, you could just leave. You don't have to be here. You're not a part of it. It's fine. You could just go if you have a problem with it. We don't need you here. I mean, you seem like you don't like it, so if you want to just go, you can just go.
Alfie, I appreciate your stepping in, but unfortunately, we could use Eddic's expertise on the
Could
matter.
we? I mean, I don't know. He doesn't seem that strong or anything. We have plenty of people here. It's fine.
oh yeah, not very strong at all.
There is plenty strength of mind in this room. Now, can we move on to the matter at hand?
Let's start, Chu. Perhaps you could tell us a little more about what happened, what you saw, what it was like. The Swan has evaded authorities and the Bound for weeks now. If they can't do anything about it, maybe this is our chance to step in.
Well, I'm not quite sure what to say about it. The paper really got many of the details right, although Melfern's relatives are all bastards. I can maybe give a lead, but aside from that, the method of kill, it just seemed to be what everybody else has attributed it to. as far as who might have done it, I think perhaps we could begin investigating some of my rivals. I did ruffle some feathers in my last performance.
Your rivals, like who?
Yes, well,
And at
you
this,
wouldn't
Lukash
be a
gets out
particular.
the quill and a fresh piece of paper and starts like looking at you like,
Oh goodness. Well, great. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you wouldn't be much of an idol if you didn't have rivals, right? And then I think at this point I would begin just listing off like every single person that has like ever pissed me off. Starting with like rivals in the area, but I'll just be like, I have such a long list. Let's go.
Okay.
Is there anything that my
Eddic is
character?
taking mental notes of all of this too.
Yeah. Is there any anything my character would know that's, aside from like what has been said and what was sent to me about like the specific events that transpired? Because I assume it was just very similar to that, because I didn't
Yeah.
get anything about the.
Yeah, there would be a few things that you would know. Let's have you do a kind of retroactive investigate check, and you won't take any stress from whatever the roll is, but it'll kind of inform how
Okay.
much you kind of got from the scene of the crime.
So I'm not trained in it.
Okay, so it would be investigate crime.
I have occult, so if there's any magic involved, I could track that, maybe.
No, there's no
Damn.
occult.
Okay. It's just 1d10.
1d10.
Let's go. This is the d10 that determines how I roll for the rest of this campaign.
Mm-hmm.
A
Fuck.
3, yeah.
Yikes.
Okay, so I mean, you were pretty shaken finding Brandon's body, and you were kind of, I mean, it was shocking. I don't know how you felt about it necessarily, but it was shocking for sure. And in the midst of the shock, you didn't notice a whole lot before the kind of like chaos of the guards and people like kind of swarming and the screams and everything started. But the one thing you did notice was that the sulfur vials that were present, the ones that Lukash has recovered, that would be enough for like 2 or 3 people to use. There were several more than that there. So despite there being no witnesses coming forward to talk about the crime, your deduction is that there were people, more than one person present, definitely at the crime scene.
So once I finish, go ahead, Rachel.
I just have a question. No, this is Rachel.
Oh, I thought that was like your character raising your hand. I was like,
right.
I'll definitely talk over you there.
He's probably gonna do that, just so you know. But this was Rachel. What do we know? Just I figured this was included in it about the 7 previous victims. Were they all drow? Was it similar stuff? Like, just wondering if it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the heart carved out. Cryptic notes going to the torch. The information about sulfur vials and sulfur syringes not present in any of the torch stuff. They were all drow. There was no particular pattern to gender, age, or a lot of things, any kind of identity, things like that. And unknown if there were personal connections to any of them. The way that Chu has kind of suggested that perhaps her pissing off her rivals has something to do with why Brianna was chosen as a victim.
Yeah.
Okay. And just while you're talking too, I would absolutely be whispering. Yeah, I'm right next to Rauka, so I would be whispering to Rauka, kind of like out of the side of my mouth, and be like, "Can I see the article, please? Can I see the article?"
Slide it on over.
And I'm just gonna like read it really intensely.
Once I finish. Oh, you go ahead. Sorry.
As a hermit, I would be privy to certain knowledges about the drug trade. Would I be aware of the sulfur scene in that area?
Oh my God, are you going to ask
me
questions?
I'm practicing my character voice, okay? Like, it's really hard.
Yeah, I think You're very familiar with sulfur because when you do demonic things, you have sulfur sitting around your house.
Oh, I sure as hell do. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of sulfur. What you do with that sulfur is up to you. And I don't know how much association you and Rauka have, but Rauka similarly has a supply of sulfur from his demonic activities. And so, knowing your associations with demons, Lukash is kind of assuming that you might know something about sulfur. As for what you've observed about like sulfur trade in your kind of like overhearings and overseeings, yeah, let's have you also make a investigate or sneak. You can pick investigate or sneak and crime.
And once we finish with all this, Chu is like still talking. So just to like jump back into it when we're done. Okay, cool.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't. Yeah.
Oh, no, you're good.
Yeah, I just have investigate, so that'll be 2d10.
Okay.
Ugh.
Nice.
Yeah,
Solid
well.
rolls across the board from everyone today.
Okay, so again, no stress right now because we're not actively doing those things. These are kind of like past actions that you've taken or like kind of passive actions. Sulfur, you can't say for sure. You've been distracted by other smuggling things lately and other kind of movements of goods, and haven't made any connections directly to sulfur. Yeah, let's leave it at that for now. So, Chu, why don't we
Cool.
jump in with you?
Yeah, so I think the moment Chu finishes like her long list, she'll just be like, I don't really know what else to say, honestly. Like, I walked in and I saw her body as this bloody mess and just bottles everywhere. I mean, I looked for what I could, but I'm not getting my hands dirty with that.
Bottles of what?
The drug.
Yeah, this is Lukash asking. So,
Yeah, the drug.
the syringes, like,
Yeah, they were everywhere. I'm sorry, I don't do drugs. They're disgusting. I have to keep my voice clean, you know. But yeah, they were all over the place. There was blood, obviously the corpse, right? I mean, I walked in, they were dead. I looked, I walked out. Somebody came and cleaned it up. I went home.
the syringes that you saw, were they all and Lukash will pick up one of the syringes here and you'll see the way that Edik and Rauka were able to immediately identify that this was sulfur and not Drek is that the syringe vial is relatively clean after plunging, versus Drek leaves a really nasty kind of grayish black residue inside the vial. And Lukash looks at you and says, were they all clean like this, or were the other syringes, these are the only ones I was able to recover, were the other ones like that gray nasty stuff? And if you want to try and remember that, since you did only roll a 3 on your investigate, what would it be to like remember?
Oh, don't worry,
something?
I'm not gonna try and remember it.
Okay.
She was just gonna be like, I'm gonna be honest. When I walked in on the disembodied corpse of my friend that had their heart carved out, I didn't really stop to check the shafts of the injection needles of all the drugs everywhere. That wasn't, my first thing to look at. So I apologize, but not really, because it's not my job.
Once Chu finishes speaking, I've been thinking this whole time about kind of these clues about there being enough of this substance for multiple people, even though there were no witnesses, and what Chu has said, what other people have said. And so I turn to Lukash and I say, this sounds ceremonial. There were multiple people there, maybe? Does anyone, and I look around at the table, Does anyone know more? Anything?
Out of character, I have a question. Would I know like what the effects of sulfur are?
Yeah. Sulfur makes you, I think it wasn't sulfur 2.0 what Amandu got.
Dagger.
Oh no, it was
2.0.
Oh, that was
Dagger
dagger.
2.0.
Shit. Okay.
But
Okay.
I did give Amandu sulfur
Sulfur. Yeah.
before a fight
Let
at
me
one point,
open up
but he had to
my
smoke it. So.
handy dandy guide to drugs and Spire before I tell you the wrong thing. God, where is that? Anybody remember what page that's on from last season? Oh, what a life. Just straight back into the drugs and the bugs, man.
Yeah. Let's get into
Drugs
the
and
nitty gritty.
Drugs and bugs, the Spire way.
Drugs and bugs and drugs and bugs and drugs and bugs.
That could be a Dr. Seuss book.
Well,
One
could
bug,
Spire.
two drug, blue drug, red bug.
I'm pretty sure sulfur
Drugs.
makes you very like volatile and violent.
That sounds fun.
I think it dulls your senses so
Oh,
that
here we
you
go.
can commit very like
Yes.
sacrilegious acts.
Yeah, because
with,
dagger
much
was
of,
the like and like the
Yeah.
aggro.
I
Yeah,
will
okay,
say
here it is.
uh,
It's sorry, just to really quick. Produces monumental rush that skews the morality of the user so that performing unpleasant or cruel acts feels better and better the more you take, usually tremendously expensive. The appearance of cheap sulfur is a sign of inspired demon summoning, which is bad news for everyone. That's what the book says.
yeah, and she will chime in and be like,
For
"Well,
everyone, come on now.
I will say it was a concert. It's not like we screened for drugs. They were probably all over the place. It's quite common, especially
So-
for the audience.
So sulfur makes it so that it's easier for you to do cruel acts. Could it be that the person that's killing could
I mean,
could inject themselves with it so that it's easier for them to do the horrible acts that they're doing?
I don't think that amount would have been for one person just off of. I mean, it was all over the place. I imagine. I mean, that's probably enough to kill a sky whale.
Be amazed
Boom!
though the amount that people could take.
Spire animals.
There you
Sorry.
go.
Chew,
You'd be amazed the amount that people can take if they take it regularly. You get to your body adjusts, and you need to keep having more and more and more to actually get the feeling. So maybe this killer is just a junkie.
Chew, do you feel you have personal responsibility because this artless act occurred during or shortly thereafter your concert?
You're gonna hear a really loud buzzing coming from my area after you say that. Just like a really intense buzz.
I thought you meant like in your mind, like.
No, you just hear like.
I forget your character. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chu kind of laughs at that and says, "I wouldn't call murder artless, especially when like this. I mean, Melfern was my friend, and she was a wonderful staff member." And...
No. He was just making a really bad pun in his strange way that he speaks. So I think he was trying to say heartless, but it just came out funny because you can't speak because your friend lost your heart. So he's actually being very mean right now. Just I thought you should know that he was actually being very mean to
gestures
you.
at Alvi, like used to Alvi's rambling, and it's like, but it's an interesting point, even if it was a misunderstanding. Art, I mean, we're talking about the potential of it being an idol like yourself. Is if this is art,
it was
then
beautiful. If it is art, I have to commend them, even if it hurts deeply.
If we think of it as art, then it has its own set of, I mean, it has to be witnessed, right? Like that makes sense. Like people saw it happen, even if there weren't witnesses to tell us what happened. Like there was an audience is what I mean. So
well, that was the point of art, yes. Well, sometimes. Most of the time. Yes.
It's a little beyond me, I have to say. That's Lukash speaking. They don't
Would I know
look very
any
artistic, we'll say.
Would I know any like of my rival idols
Mhm.
that specifically either like perform regarding like blood or are heavily like into drugs or have that kind of like platform kind of deal. Maybe not like, you know, I carve the hearts out of people on stage, haha, but like, you know, as like an artist, like something that
Yeah.
would be like comparable through a different
Oh
medium.
yeah, old heart carver Joe. He's a really
Yeah, you know.
popular ad.
He eats a bat and then carves the heart out of a fan.
Yeah.
In fact, you do know of 2 of your rivals who have kind of a weird history with some um, with like violence as part of their performance. One of them is oh, now I need to find the name, as of course I didn't just
Of
have it
course.
somewhere easily written. One of them is a drow named Callisto Brox.
Callisto.
Callisto, Callisto.
Brox.
Brox, Brox.
Can it be like me? Can it like BRO apostrophe XZ?
No.
Brox.
It's actually an O with
BROX.
a slash through the
It's an
middle.
O with a slash, yeah. Fantasy name.
And the other one is another drow. So Callisto is a man, goes by he, him pronouns. The other is another drow, this time a woman, Lorelei, Lorelei. And like Beyonce, Lorelei is her name. That's what she go by.
The moniker.
Beyonce is her name.
Lorelei is her name.
Fire Beyonce.
Mhm.
I just wrote she sure. Classic.
Uh,
Brain.
Chu, would it be possible that your rivals would descend to these terrible levels to sabotage your performance?
Well, I did just give a list of approximately 20 people who would do exactly that, but if I had
What
to...
is this even thou at their level of...
Wow, your accent is... It faded there for a second.
Sorry. Shh. It's really hard.
No, I'm just playing. I would think that there are definitely 2 that stand out as particularly, well, let us say, straightforward in their violence. Callisto Brox, he is a dullard, an idiot. I do not know if he would be capable of something beautiful like this, but oh my god, I'm slowly turning him in, right? But he does know, he is known for violence. Lorelei is another one. She is impressive, but also tends to be a little bit more carnal with her art.
Can I do a ability check?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
I was thinking, I don't know if this is too early on, but I'm getting to know a new character, so of utilizing the mental directory. So
Okay.
it says you can smell knowledge.
Mhm.
Basically, I make a roll, and on a success, I get to ask you a question. The DM a
Ooh.
question, and I make a roll, and then if I succeed, you have to tell me the answer. And it's not like it says specifically you can't know the combination to a safe, but you can know that it's written down on a scrap of paper tucked into the overseer's diary or something. So it's
Okay.
like,
Oh, just ask
yeah,
who did it.
yeah, you have to give me a truthful answer, but like it can't be it doesn't need to be like, yes, it's them, you've solved the case.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so it's investigate and occult.
And you ask the question before you roll, right?
Yes. So it's the one roll, and then I roll investigate and I roll occult because I have both of those. So that's
Yes.
3, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, is my camera super lagged? It is.
It doesn't look too bad.
Oh, maybe it was just for me. Anyway, I fixed it. Okay. So the question I guess I would ask is, so this is my first time doing it, so I don't actually know what's a reasonable question to ask you as a DM.
Okay.
But is it reasonable to ask something like, is it one of Chu's rivals? Or I guess my wondering would be, is it one of Chew's rivals or is it an Elfir? Those are the things I'm thinking. So I don't know if that's too big of a question, or
I
if
think
I should
like
just say, is it Chew's rivals or
yeah.
is
Let
it
me
an
look at
Elfir?
the language of it mentally.
I
But
as a
maybe
player, I don't think it's one of my rivals. I think it's like a good investigating point though, because I'm sure that we'll uncover something related to the drugs, and then that'll lead us on like a big thing.
yeah, I think maybe like because it will like from my knowledge of that particular advance, it would just be like she'd kind of tell like Elise would tell you where to go to get this information.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's an okay question. I think like the either or phrasing of it is like makes it harder
Mhm.
because then I'm juggling basically like two chunks of question. So I would focus it into
Okay,
like
so
one.
then,
Does that make
or
sense?
I could even, yes. I've actually thought of a different question.
Okay.
Because of what you told me I got before this, and because of what I know of the drugs, do I think that what I got before about demons and this, do I think that they're related?
Okay, yeah, go for the
Basically,
roll.
or okay. So that's 3d10. It's a 6, a 2, and a 2.
Okay, the 6 is
It's a
success
failure,
at a
right?
cost. That's
Oh, I
the
thought
lowest.
7 was. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Forgot.
6
Been a while.
is a success. But you do take stress. So you are going to take mind stress as you're trying to kind of piece this together. You will take. It will roll eventually. 1. Hey, lucky roll.
And I have resistance to mind stress,
Okay, so you're
I'm
still at
still at
0.
0.
So Alvi takes stress, but
No
let's
fallout.
see. Do you think these two things are related? The sulfur and
Yes.
the what? Let me look at the.
Yeah, I didn't know how much I was supposed to say, so.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, it's whatever you want.
Yeah, just the note that I received
Mhm.
earlier about demons.
Yes. Oh, it's a-
Are they related?
I'm looking at the note that I sent you to make sure I tell you
Yeah.
the right thing.
I put
They're
it in my
only
bio too,
second
so it's easy
cousins.
to access there if you want to.
Okay. How would I?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's
It's
okay.
a
It's just
weird,
like it's an interesting question to try and have to like you know what? In this case, I think direct answer is okay because it is kind of like a I think your insight on this is like it's too many coincidences to like the fact that people have been talking about all this, that you're like staring at vials, you've just gotten this thing like very recently, and your knowledge that like an influx of sulfur being on the streets would indicate demonic activity. You do think it's very likely they're related, and you would have to go to the source of the note to get further confirmation. But your gut feeling, which is very strong on this one, is yes, they're related.
Okay. I'm not going to say anything about it right now. Thank you.
Lukash, please tell me, how do you expect me to be of assistance in this matter?
Well, I think that this is as you may know, or maybe you don't, but others of us do. This sulfur, the syringes, Lukash, they kind of sweep them back up and kind of set them, kind of fiddles with them until they lay like nice and in a row next to their stack of papers. Sulfur is the root drug of Drek. And sulfur comes from demons. And that is, and they point at you, Eddic, and then they point at you, Rauka. That's your shit. So I don't know. The ministry has been breathing down my neck about all this Drek in Perch. I don't know what you all know about that, but the fact that sulfur is found at the crime scenes, and sulfur is what Drek comes from, it's starting to smell fishy to me. So I'm kind of hoping we can get an accounting of what's going on with the whole demons thing from you two. And they kind of flap their hand between the two of you.
Yeah, by the way, this entire time, Edic has been like quizzically glancing at a certain character's horn and like with an air of knowing what that is but not understanding why it's there.
I think while this whole this next part of the conversation is going down, Chu is going to like unwrap like several candies and start just like
Yeah,
picking
so
up them.
You're gonna chew on them?
I'll offer some
Lukash-
to Din as well. I'll like you spend some time. You have some candies. Take
Lukash kind of like flips a paper over to have like a blank page, and writes, like, puts a circle and writes inside of it like serial killer swan, and then connects that to a little smaller circle that says sulfur, which is connected to a bigger bubble that says Drek, and then underneath that like underlined big problem, and then kind of connects that and puts Edic really pointedly connected to the Drek, to sulfur, I guess, and then kind of looks at Rauka and like shrugs and like makes another one and puts Rauka next to it, and it's like and then like connects Chu to the serial killer, and then it kind of is like, are you seeing my point? Do you see the connections now?
Just to be of the utmost certainty on this matter, I am not being accused, no?
No, I want to know what you know.
I'm not under arrest, correct?
Do I
Do
look
you
like a
know
guard?
where you are?
We bomb
Chu
buildings.
Chu will like laugh a little bit and like pull out a popsicle and be like,
You're
"Is this-
here.
Are
as-
they in the right place?" Mimicking your accent. Are they in the right place?
They kind of look at you, Chu, and sigh like that because their hands are full with this group of ministers. Speaking strictly from Lukash's perspective.
Lukash, so this is possibly related to demons, you said, and you were pointing at them, so I'm assuming he's got a demon too, which is great. But I received a note.
You don't need to go into that.
You guys,
it's fine.
Probably would have worked together before. Most of you,
I don't.
Maybe not with Edic, but
Yeah, that's what I mean. I know Rauka well.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I know Rauka. I received a note from an unknown person asking for help with demonic activity, and I'm not usually wrong, but so I'm going to tell you that these are connected. You know that sometimes I just know things. I know things. I research things. You know this. So these are connected, and I'm not exactly sure what it was. There was tiny little paw prints in the dust in my workspace. And so it could be a cat. I don't know if that's how that's pronounced. Okay. It's not spelled that way. It could be a cat.
In Spire are Khaat.
Sure are.
I love it.
Or it could be a dust warden. I'm not sure. It could be something. They seemed like they knew me, and I don't know them. I don't know who it was or anything. And it was very confusing when it came. And they asked me to go to tea. I mean, I love tea, so I'd be happy to go to tea.
Sorry. Did you just say dust warden?
I did. It's just the thought that because there were little prints in the dust, right? So you'd make you think dust warden.
I hope not.
Why? Dust wardens are great. Dust wardens.
They unsettle me.
Oh, but they protect. They help to. They know that the heart is evil, and they know that they're good. I'm sure that they're good. I'm not worried.
I appreciate what they do. They just unsettle me.
It's incredible to me that more than one person in this room knows what a dust warden is. This is Lukash speaking. It's just like they feel like they've just lost the train, right? They're like, I don't
If it helps,
Lukash, you know that I know
have,
a lot of things. It's fine.
I have no idea about what that is, but I heard there would be tea, and so I would like to go along with that.
You'd like to you'd like to come to my workspace with me for tea?
For the tea, yes. Just for the tea.
Oh, I mean,
Alfie is so excited.
if you
Is tea
if
in
you
the
wanted
vault?
to, that'd be fine.
Tea
I mean,
what?
Is it going to be in the vault? Or
Is tea in the vault?
I mean, we don't like archive and categorize tea, but tea is drinkable
Okay.
within it.
Tea later.
point-
Tea later.
Okay. Okay.
At this point, Din is like visibly kind of like, what is going on, right? But like Din, oh my god, Din is not super expressive in terms of like facial things, even though my face is. So Din just kind of like raises an eyebrow at kind of this stuff happening, like puts her hands on the table and kind of like leans back in such a way that like she's noticed and looks kind of at everyone and is like, demons. We have a demon problem here. My accent's going all over the place. Some of you, according to Lukash, have demon expertise. What do we know about demons? What's happening with Chu? Why is people's hearts being ripped out? We gotta figure it out. We don't have time for tea.
But it might lead to demons because the tea was connected to the demons. You see, if I actually go and get tea with the whatever
Alfie,
creature.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But if I go to get tea with the creature that said that they wanted help with the demonic activity, then I could find out what the demonic activity was. I could find out who the creature is. And then if I find out who the creature is, I might find out who the demons are. And it might be the same demons, I think, that are connected.
I
Oh, you
might
speak
have a
very
way
fast.
to inquire about this activity that does not require getting tea.
Well, that's good because you actually weren't invited to the tea. I don't believe that you were invited.
I did not say that I was going to go get the tea anyway.
Good because you weren't invited.
Okay. That's
Well,
fine.
I also
Fine.
need. There's still the question of my rivals. I think those two really do merit investigation of some kind.
I agree. So I have some thoughts on the matter. So we have hearts being ripped out of chests, sulfur, and a lot of dead bodies. Right, serial killer.
What are they doing with the hearts, right?
So yeah, some demons ask for very specific things. I'm wondering if one is just really hungry. So it could be that. In the murderous idol front suspects, I have a friend who acquainted someone I know who might dabble in the not quite legal selling of sulfur.
I'm shocked.
I could
says
ask.
Lukash.
Do you think anyone is going to hire me for a real job with this horn and my jet black eyes? It's unsettling. I mean,
I'm glad you see it.
I would disagree with you. It is not unsettling. However,
no, it's unsettling. It's
I'm
okay.
I must ask. Are we? I've lots of work with eidolons. You seem to be very well acquainted with eidolons. Are we speaking with what I believe I am speaking with?
No, I'm not sure when when she is driving the sky whale, so to speak. Or even in the sky whale.
Oh, the metaphors are getting deep.
I've heard rumors of leaving Eidolon. This is you?
Let's table that forever.
Oh, but you are magnifique. I start like rummaging my chest for my necklace, and I would like to inquire to a certain friend of mine. Can this person be trusted?
Let's see. We haven't like established or talked about exactly like what you can get from your friend when not actually using Beseech Demon, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, okay. I think what you get back, I think you have to say that out loud. And you hear back in your head this kind of rumbling. I think he is interesting.
I would have to agree.
And hears this and hears that there is no response, and that Nick responds and kind of like moves her chair over a little bit and looks at everyone again and is like, demons. What's happening with the demons here?
Lukash is like, thank you, Din. You know, I want to know. There's so much Drek, which means there's so much sulfur. And the two of you have been making sulfur for years here without it being like this. So if there's some other demon around that wants to eat hearts out of people's chests, that's a problem. But would carving out 8 hearts over a couple weeks feed a demon like that? Is that too much, too little? Like, what are we talking about? Are we talking about one demon that eats hearts sometimes, or are we talking about tons of fucking demons? And especially if Alvy's getting notes from fucking dust wardens saying that there's demonic stuff. I mean, if they're noticing,
it might be. It could also be a cat. It could also be a cat. We don't know. There was dusty prints, so it could also be a cat.
Over the table, would I be aware of the act of demons literally eating the hearts of drow, or would this be like a metaphorical? They are using these hearts in like a ritualistic sense, or is it like a literal consumption of them?
You would be aware that in some demonic summoning and Eidolon creation processes, and in some like demon beseeching type rituals, yes, actual literal flesh would be consumed
by demons
in the process, one way or the other. Does that make sense? It's not necessarily literal demons, just like Byron doesn't necessarily have a literal fleshy presence all the time. Most demons do not have physical forms in Spire, but the flesh is consumed in the process, is kind of burnt off or offered or whatever, and that is a necessary mandatory part of the creation of Eidolons or the infusion or suffusion of items, things like that. It would be something that some demons would require, not all demons, but some demons would require to perform whatever deeds are being asked of them during summoning.
So
Fair.
I think Chu is gonna like cross her legs and like start shoving her candy back into her bag and be like, God. I think it's clear that we have a few leads. If possible, could I ask you to investigate Callisto and Lorelei and tell us which one seems like they might have more going on. And in the meantime, we can check out. I believe you said you had someone asking you to help them distribute sulfur, and I believe you, and I'll turn to not Etik, right? But Valaraka, I think. Valaraka? Is that how you say it?
Rauka's Tyler, yeah.
It's Rauka. Yeah.
Rauka, okay. So I'll turn to Rauka and I'll say, and I believe you sold sulfur, so you may know how it's being circulated as well. So why don't we investigate those two for now, and maybe we can come back and pick one of the idols to look at later if we have a little bit more intelligence on it. Also, this is like out of character. This is off the assumption that I believe Elise didn't want us to split the group anymore as much.
That is true. I would
True.
love it if you
So
didn't split the group tons and tons.
instead of being like, my initial reaction would have been like, I'll go investigate the idols, and
Right,
y'all go
like, yeah.
investigate. Like,
I would go and like try and find the person who gave me the note, and I
yeah. So like everybody go their own ways. This time we'll stay together. So I think we go do those two as a group, maybe in like one trip, and then come back is what I'm saying. And what's our boss's name? I don't remember.
Lukash.
Lukash. Okay.
So
Lukash is
I
our boss.
definitely would know Lukash, and I probably know Chu because Chu's Chu.
'Cause I'm an
but
idol. Yeah.
yeah, you're an idol.
But you know my stage presence, which is very like up here with the like
Queen of
energy and
excess, one might
extraness. Yeah,
say.
I'm the queen of excess. But off like behind stage, I think I'm a lot more like this.
subdued, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know your name, but I don't know, unless we've had little name cards in front of our spots at the table. I don't know that Etik actually knows everyone else. I know that he's immediately interested in Rauka, like more than anything else in this room.
Cat.
But why don't we go around the table and just tell me an icebreaker? How is that?
What's the icebreaker? Lukash will be like, "Oh, I do these all the time for work. Tell me the 2 truths and a lie about your character right now." No, but yeah, that's a
Oh, that would actually be real fun.
yeah,
It's
this
gonna
is
take 3 episodes.
a very good time, I suppose, to have you guys do little introductions to what your characters look like and what their presence would be like at the table as well. So an excellent idea from Etik. Alvi, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So Alvi is a very like kind of slight and gangly drow woman, and she has very frizzy, kind of out of control hair. She is kind of always constantly intense, like a little bit twitchy. You always hear a buzzing when you're around her, and if you look nice and close, you can see just in and out of her nostrils little bees like to crawl around and go in and out, and it's fine. And she is a super kind of sorry, I have a cat in my lap and it's very hard to do things. Hi.
Hi, cat.
Little baby. It's so
Here's
cute.
the squishy cat. Okay.
So it's called the deep apiarist, right?
Yeah.
Apiarist?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Apiary.
It's true. Yeah, apiarist, because it's the apiary.
I think so,
I'm
yeah.
real good pronouncing things. So yeah, she's always kind of just intense and different, like changes between stuttering some and tripping over her words to talking really fast about a lot of things. So hi, I'm Alvi. I am a researcher, and I'm not really good with the icebreaker things. I don't really know exactly what it is that you would like to know. I could tell you a fun fact. I could tell you a demonic fun fact. Would you like to hear a demonic fun fact about Spire? Did you actually know that the Procatacos? I don't know how that's actually pronounced. Procaticos? Sure.
I don't know.
Did you?
Normally don't say it out loud. It's, you know.
The Procaticos are a distant precursor race, but they built Spire, possibly some theorists think, as a cap atop something terrible, a permanent demonic incursion, a site of grim sacrifice on an unimaginable scale, and its strange design is intended to dissipate the harmful energies of the rift beneath. So that could be what's happening right now. I mean, none of this theory isn't actually confirmed by anybody, and just some people believe it. But that's an interesting theory about Spire that has to do with demons that could be useful here. I'm not really sure.
Yes, most interesting. I must ask, however, I am familiar with the Deep Apialist having many different kinds of bee queens. Yes.
I mean, that's a fairly personal question to ask. I didn't tell you that I was one. I guess you could just see sometimes. But I mean
there are little insect bees things in your nose. This is not normal across all drow, yes, except for Deep Apialists.
I mean, it really is normal. I mean, there's plenty of different things. I mean, you were just talking to yourself just a moment ago as if you were responding to yourself and nobody heard it. So, I mean, who really could say what's normal? But yes, you have to ask, I am a hive. It's true. Yes.
I am a hive. Season 2, folks.
Yes. These things are deducible. However, I would like to know if what is the kind of queen.
I'm sure you would like to know, but maybe if we get to know each other a little better later, I could tell you a little bit more information about my hive and how the queen works and everything.
What is the point of icebreaker if we're not talking now?
We all have our own secrets. I'm sure you have things that you don't want to share.
Yeah, icebreakers are kind of like you get to kind of choose what it is that you share.
I do think.
Yes.
Lukash is like, I feel like there's a rift that was demonic, and the Spire is built to contain
yes, the permanent demonic incursion.
A fun fact from Alfie. Doesn't that count? Rauka, how about you go next?
I think that told us everything we need to know about
Rauka. I would very much like to hear about Rauka.
Oh, look at those big eyes.
Cat cam.
So Rauka is a drow fella. He's got a very large patchwork overcoat. Kind of everything has been stitched and scrapped together. He's got a rope wrapped around him at all times. Perch being kind of just hanging on the outside of Spire. A lot of the Perch natives will make sure that they are secured to something at all times. Rauka has, instead of having one long length of rope, he has many small kind of frayed ropes that he has tied together. It's got a little dagger at the end of it. He uses that to fight when that, is a thing that needs to happen. So he's got the horn, which was talked about. He's also got jet black eyes with red irises. In Spire, if you are subject to like really dark occult magic, it can often warp your features. So that was the fun thing that happened with Rauka. He has some remnants of previous horns that he keeps hidden in his hair that he tried to saw off, and this is the one that he just kind of said, fuck it, it's gonna stay here now.
Oh
yeah. Okay, we want a fun fact. Okay, did you know that some goats have hands? That's all I got.
Hands like hands?
Hands like hands.
Oh my God.
Not to like take over his icebreaker or anything. I think that would be rude of me to do that. But just not only do some goats have hands, but my goat has hands. I have a goat with hands actually. That she's not here right now, because she's not with me at all times. But I do. Her name is her. It wasn't my turn. I'm sorry. You can continue. I'm sorry.
I think that was a wonderful segue.
Thank you.
moving on to Chu, I believe.
Okay. How personal should I get?
Well, first, will you describe Chu for the
Oh
audience?
yeah. So Chu is a relatively small drow. Her hair is white, but it's been dyed like this fluorescent pink in the under of like her hair, so it seems white on the outside, but it's got like that fluorescent pink underneath. She's got like this big purple cloak on that kind of hides almost all of her body, and when she puts her cloak up, it's very like covers everything. But underneath it, you catch glimpses and you can kind of hear jingling, and she's basically adorned all over with little trinkets and things that her fans have given her and that she's collected over the years. And she has like this very gaudy like performance outfit, which I will probably fully flesh out and describe later during one of her first performances if I were to go into that a little bit more in detail. She has very like her eyes are like very empty and kind of like distant most of the time, except when she's on stage she'll kind of turn it all on, kind of deal. Yeah, she tries to be kind, but it's kind of like she's like separated from people in a certain degree, not just because she's an idol, but just kind of that's who she is. So she just kind of doesn't mesh well with others very well, which I think is like probably a norm within this group, given the fact of like, well, we've got like two
Talking
demon
about,
people, like
I mesh well with everybody.
a B academic, and
Patrol of Spire.
like spy murder. Yeah, so that's kind of her physical description. She's got little pouches and like purses sewn on the inside of her cloak, and there's like ropes and things hanging on the inside, but she doesn't leave them exposed. Yeah. So I guess going back to what she's saying, she will kind of like pull out like another popsicle out of like a random pouch that she has. She's covered in like, she's got like candy. She's an idol, of course. And so she'll pop one into her mouth and just be like, okay, well, I was, fun fact about myself, I was first popular in Derelictus, and since you're all part of the ministry, I assume that you are all good at keeping secrets, at least in some respect. So my debut here a little bit ago was not a mistake, and it wasn't really my debut. Let's just say that I may have pushed one of my performances to an excess of proportions that may have been a little too much for my audience, and well, now I'm here making a new name for myself. Let's see if we can do it again, but more grand next time, you know. And I love candy. I suppose that's all you really need to know about me. Look for me in the tabloids. I had 2 albums come out a month ago. Buy them from your local dealers.
Are you on Bandcamp?
I don't know what that is. I have my producer handles. Oh wait.
Oh.
Oh damn. I
Oh,
suppose I should be looking for a new producer soon, huh? Damn.
good producers are hard to find.
Well, good ones at least, yeah. I suppose next would be, what did you say your name was? Etik.
Yes, ethic. Hello, everyone.
Try not to take too long.
Oof.
Well, fine.
Alvy smiles when you say that.
I could just say, if you are actually curious about me, you can come meet me at my apartment.
That's not really an icebreaker. It just we all like said shared things.
Yeah, well, fine. Okay, I just physical description. He is about just barely over half the height of your average drow adult.
Describe his boyfriend.
And he is got a ginger beard. I mean, he's like a drow, so his skin's kind of dark. And now that he's tussled around for it, you can see that he's got a very strange stone necklace, which is on a chain. And if you look long enough at it, it tricks your eyes. It's kind of hard. Like, if you're not paying attention and you just see a triangle, that's all you see. But the longer you look, the more your eyes kind of get tricked at while you're looking at it. Interesting fact about moi. I did my dance with her name was Zoya, who weighs the scales. Do not really know what she is doing these days, but I imagine it is most diabolical. No, I did not mean that in a negative sense.
As you say that and kind of clutch your necklace, you hear in your head Byron, who says, "Did you notice that Rauka only talked about goats for his fun fact?"
I did notice this. I have sorry. I did notice this. I have
Are you
a
saying this out
series
loud?
of questions. I'm not saying this out loud. I'm saying it in my head.
Okay.
I have
He's
a
not
series of
Stormbringer.
questions that I would very much like to ask Rauka, but all in due time. Your name was Din? Dun?
So at that
No.
point, Dan. No, I'm just kidding. So at that point,
Dan.
I changed right in the middle. No. So In has kept her head down for most of this. She's wearing a similar cloak, honestly, to Chew, like very oversized. It's got like an extra long hood, as if it was like a slinky, right? But it's like mostly pulled back at this point so that you can still see the mask, but you can see there's like a lot of extra fabric because most of the time it's worn like very pulled
Can we
down.
say canonically it's the same cloak, like made by the same, because we know each other?
Aw,
Cool.
that's cute.
All right. Yeah.
I like it. And I'm wearing my mask, which is very nondescript. So like Din's whole thing is trying not to stand out, like trying to be very average in appearance. So lucky for Din, they are perfectly average drow height. And very average posture and body composition and things. And her personality, as far as most people can tell, is very like aloof, like distant, not very forthcoming or trusting of other people. And so Din says, I get the accent again in my head.
Think Brave, like the movie Brave. If you had a chance to change your fate, would ya? Would ya?
Din, I'm here with all of you. And my fun fact is, I gesture toward Chew and I say, I know Chew. Kind of look away like I'm done.
That is a fun.
Yes, well, this
I
was all
agree.
very great.
Oh, I'm Lukash. Lukash is a drought. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
Lucas, I believe it's your turn for a fun fact.
My fun fact is
Now
that
you're locked in.
No. And Lukash, they start to straighten up their papers, and they tuck most of the papers into their clothes, and take the quill out of the ink pot and kind of dry it out, and tuck that in and stopper the ink pot and find another pocket for that. And then they stand up, and they they say, "My fun fact is I apparently have to go investigate some Callisto, Brox, and Lorelei. I'm gonna get my information to you as soon as I can on whatever I drum up. Can't promise much, but you folks use this room if you need to." And then they bow to the table, and then they bow to both the chair that they had been seated in and the empty one next to it, and they leave the room. Unless there's anything someone wants to call after them, they're ready to they're booking it.
Would that be like procedure of someone who like is Lukash a resident of Perch?
Yes, you would recognize the bowing to the stationary items that can't go with Lukash as honoring the small gods living within.
Oh, I want to do something that would be cool RP wise, but would give me unnecessary stress. Damn.
Oh God.
I want to so badly though.
Do it.
Okay.
Oh, and let's take a break here. Sorry, I meant to say that was Lukash left, and then I
fun.
was like, I paused long enough that people were probably gearing up, and
But let's let
take a
David do her thing. Okay.
No.
No, it's fine. I can do it when we
David,
come back.
write a note so that you don't
Yeah.
forget.
I'm
You can
not gonna
think
write
about
it
it.
now.
You can think about it over break.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna take about 10 minutes, so 8:25/10:25 if you're on the East Coast, and we'll see you back then. Thanks, everybody.
Bye everyone for
Hello, we're back. Yay. Okay. I'm just excited. I'm
Jesus
happy.
Christ.
This is good. Okay, I can oh, I forgot that my fucking sound was on my other computer. Okay.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
heard
I
you.
was like,
It's fine. It's gone now. It's gone now. Don't nobody panic. It's too late. We're all panicking. Okay. Hello. Thank you for saying we're seen and heard. You guys are awesome in the chat. Love you. Okay. Let's get back into it. So we left off with your magister agreeing to do a little bit of research on your behalf into the two rivals that Chu identified as most likely to engage in violence for the sake of art, which were Lorelei and Callisto Brox. And they have taken their items with them and left the room, leaving the five of you in the room, telling you could continue to use it if you want. And yeah, let's jump back in. So
Chu's going to stand up and walk over to the seat that she was in slowly and like caress it gently and be like, I hate that stupid custom. And she'll like lean down and like give the seat like a gentle kiss.
okay.
And then I will use my magic on it. It's called Destruction.
Okay.
It's a divine magic. I mark D3 stress. Just says mark D3 stress. Doesn't say what to. And commune with the deep over a non-unique item or part of an item. Over the next few minutes, that item degrades into nothingness.
Oh boy.
You do realize that when we come back here, that
Yes.
chair will not be
Rauka?
there anymore.
Well, hang on. First, roll D3
Yeah.
/R space D3. See how much stress you're going to take, and then we have to decide where it's getting
Boom.
applied.
Can I apply it to mind?
Yeah, I think mind probably makes the most sense.
Okay, I have resistance, so I don't have
Okay.
any stress.
Okay.
And
So-
then she will say, "Should we
so-
go?"
Rauka is
It doesn't.
sobbing.
It doesn't immediately disintegrate. It takes like the next like 5 minutes.
And remind me, what
Rauka is
do you
sobbing?
gain something from this?
I think I
Okay.
well, I mean, like her whole
No.
deal is that she doesn't like worship, like when people like put things on a pedestal. So
Oh,
she is
no.
upset, that, which is like because she's an idol, right? Yeah, but
Stress.
she's like the anti-idol kind of deal, you know. So yeah,
Lean
she
over
saw
to
it.
Rauka if he's sobbing.
Yeah, you shouldn't be sobbing yet. I just
What-
kissed it.
what-
That's
what-
it.
what's
Nothing
happening?
bad
What's
has
happening?
happened.
Are you
to the
okay?
chair
Do you
yet.
need
And
something?
it's slowly disintegrating, correct?
Yeah, I mean, like
but you,
the process of several minutes.
yeah.
I think
It says
it's
it says over the next few minutes. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it takes a little bit
Then-
of time. It's not like falling apart in front of your eyes, but like
So not leaving immediately because we haven't actually discussed where we're going or what we're doing.
We have. After kissing it, I think she's gonna walk away from the chair to like not draw too much attention to it. And you can like look at it if you want and see it. It's fine. And she'll stand behind her chair and be like, "Shall we go? I believe we have 2 drug connections to investigate."
Din will stand
We're
up
gonna-
immediately and walk over to Chu and just nod, like, yeah, I'm coming with you.
We're going
Anyone
to
else?
investigate drugs. That's what we're going to do. We're going to investigate drugs.
Well, I suppose you had a note, correct?
I did. I don't think my note is connected to drugs, though. I don't think that it didn't mention drugs. I don't do drugs. I don't know that cats do drugs. It would be kind of weird if
thought
cats
your
did
note-
drugs.
you do think that because the demonic it is connected to drugs. That was what your roll gave you, was that the sulfur, the influx of sulfur in the market is connected to all that demonic activity that your contact is talking about being abnormal, or like large amounts of it, just to clarify. that.
Okay, so I thought that my contact would also be involved in drugs.
I thought you said that the note was about demonic
I
activity.
had said that.
No, right. So like, but you think that the fact that they're noticing your contact, whoever they are, is noticing more is like, can you stop all the demon shit going on your side of things? That indicates like this increase in demonic activity. At the same time, you're seeing an increase in sulfur, and you are now connecting the dots between those things as like there's something going on with that. So if that makes sense.
Right. I thought we were gonna sure. I thought the investigation with my contact was gonna be to try and figure out with the note. So I didn't think that specifically was the drug connection. That was all I was okay.
And also Rauka's, yes, crushed it. Rauka's drug connection as well.
Oh, I'm not going to investigate any kind of drug connections. It's more of I'm going to talk to a friend about if he's had business
putting
dealings.
Out some feelers, as you say, on the streets.
I don't live on the streets.
Whatever, we should go.
Where I live is worse. And I just walked through the door.
At that, I think she was like, for the first time, like taken aback a little bit, like, what? Wait.
I feel like if you take out the door, I would run after you, or at least like walk.
I'm not sprinting. I'm just.
But
I'm getting up.
Bowing
to all my chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I nod to anything. I just, yeah.
Yeah, Chu notices that. She's gonna push her chair in and just walk off and follow.
So is Rauka going to take us? Are you going to take us to your friend? Are we all gonna discuss with your friend about drugs?
No, like I said, he's just a friend. Just going to have a chat. I still don't know how public they are with their I'm a drug dealer kind of a thing. I just know that I can only sell to them, and we have a business friendship.
Well, ideally we could meet in a
Rauka,
private place.
The corner of your eye, you see the side of the chair kind of fall, and like it's like kind of turning gray brown, like instead of like a nice bright brown with stain, it's like turning gray in front of as you're talking.
I'm gonna run over to it. I'm gonna see if there's anything I can do here to do some emergency surgery on this chair. Let's see. I'm not going to beseech a demon for this.
The spell says that it turns into nothingness. So just.
That's fine. I got nothing that reverses any such thing, unfortunately.
You could do a fix roll if you really wanted to. I mean, like if you can.
Sure. Why not?
Okay, this would be fix and technology. Are we doing our first ever technology roll? Our chair's technology.
Oh my gosh.
If I was trying to fix it with my demonic mojo, could I argue occult? I'm only trying to save a piece. I'm not trying to save the entire chair. I know that's probably out of the window right now.
Yes. If you roll occult and fix, you will
just be careful that the spell doesn't spread to you.
I will say this: if you want to roll occult, the potential of taking stress is like, it's not the potential. It's like if you take stress, you could take much more stress than if you do technology.
Sure. I will take that risk because I know no self-preservation.
Okay.
Are you attempting to do beseech demon here?
No, fuck no.
Okay.
Not for a chair. Not everyone I love will die for a chair leg. Well, I'm not doing that. So I have fix. I have occult. I only have mastery in that when it comes to demons, so I would not get the mastery, right? So it would just be 3d10. Got it.
Nice.
Yay!
Okay.
Do I
Thank
take
God.
stress?
No.
Our first critical success.
Okay, so this was at difficulty because there's an actual spell disintegrating this chair. So you did really. It doesn't technically count as a critical success. It technically counts as a 9. I'm sorry to say, but it is a success with no stress, which is good for you. You can't save the whole thing, but what you manage to do is find a piece on the far side from what is falling apart, like where you notice the decay, which is absolutely stemming from where Chu's kiss on the chair started. And you break it off before the decay gets to it, and you're able to save that little chunk of the chair. And
Okay.
like and stem like the occult side of it is like that stemming of the force of the decay long enough to kind of get this piece off of the chair, because it's not easy to you can't just like snap it, right? It's like
Right.
it's a chair, so like you have to kind of stem the flow of the decay long enough to get the piece off.
Sure. So is it small enough that it would fit in my bag, or would I have to carry it around?
It's small enough it would fit in your bag. And after you do this, like
Okay, cool.
you kind of let loose the floodgates, and the decay just like rapidly kind of floods forward, and the chair starts just falling apart. Like it has no structural integrity left, and some of the pieces, like from where the early onset of the decay was, is like turning to ash kind of in front of your eyes too.
Chu pulls out a piece of candy and puts it in her mouth, and she's like, everything decays, buddy, but you should make sure you hold on to that and take good care of it. It seems important to you.
Chu, was there a reason that you did this?
Just helping along the passage of time.
What did the chair do?
Didn't have to do anything, really. It just was a chair.
It was a god.
Yes. I suppose some people
And it's
may
still
see it
with
that way.
It's still with us, thankfully. But can you please not the chairs, everything in Perch, small gods are all around us.
Chu smiles and turns to walk out the door and like blows you a kiss and is like, they should fear me. And she just takes a step outside.
And follows her.
That woman is insufferable, isn't she? It's just
It's okay.
She's a lot of things.
I respect her worldviews. I need them to not interfere with my own, but I feel.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want you to tell her that I said that. I wouldn't want you to. I wouldn't want you to tell her that I said that. I mean, I just, she's just a lot to take sometimes. That's all.
And that's okay. Everyone is a lot to take in their own special ways.
Yes, Lauka, what are those worldviews? I'm very interested.
Do we need to get into that now, Etik? The gods are all around us. Fractured, broken, dead.
She was going to poke her head back in and be like, hello, I don't know the way. I believe we had something to do. I'd rather, get to bed at night at a reasonable time.
Maybe don't destroy chairs.
No, please.
Maybe, and then we could just go. It's fine. We could just go. Rocco, let's just go. You know where to go, right? You can. Is it okay if you take all 5 of us to your friend?
Elise, question. Does Giltree I mean, I've only ever talked to him alone. He probably thinks I'm a loner. He probably thinks he's my only friend. Do I know, is he a don't bring anybody around me type, or, if you have business, bring them to me kind of a thing?
I think he's a little bit more he's not strongly either. I would say he's a little more on the suspicious side, especially given, like what we said, like his kind of reaction to all the Drek has been. But his concern over the Drek is very, very strong. And his kind of confrontation with you about Drek makes you think
Right.
that he is more motivated by getting to the bottom of that. And
Mhm.
so would see you bringing people to kind of investigate that, if that's kind of how you frame it. That's your insight on this situation, is that like if you kind of frame it that way, it would probably be okay, as long as like you kind of vouch for people, like you have a good enough relationship that you can kind of vouch for people with him, you think,
Sure.
not
So I
having ever done this
shouldn't-
before.
I hope.
I shouldn't cast
Yeah.
Horned Tongue before we go and make it so that it hurts him to lie to us. That'd probably be bad. I won't do that. I don't want to ruin your. I don't want to ruin your contact in session 1. Like,
It's fine. I'd understand. It's
We wanna.
would I have knowledge as to or could I inquire to Byron as to like which demons would be the most amenable at this point to like working with the Elfir and just working with elves across the board, like in such a like weird way.
Weird in what way? What's weird?
I mean, so in my understanding, like, demonic powers are very, very strong, and right now it just seems like they're not being used yet, but it's like in the processes of that, right? Like something's just in the works. Would my character / would Byron know which demons might be wanting to work alongside of Drow right now to do something, like to get more powerful?
If you kind of ask this to the necklace, is that
I can. I was wondering if I would just know that from
like
conversing,
past
or if I don't.
conversations? Yeah.
If I don't, then I could absolutely, yeah.
I'll say this. The way that Byron talks about what it's like to be summoned into an Eidolon and to exist inside an Eidolon, you get the sense of there being not a whole lot of differentiation between individual demons on the demonic side of things. And that it is upon summoning into an Eidolon that a demon starts to feel like they have a sense of self and purpose. So instead of thinking of like which individual demons on the demonic side of things would be interested in doing that, your brain would probably start tracking to like how many Eidolons are there to be, like, because Eidolons are quite rare, right?
Yeah.
And especially Eidolons that are big and powerful, like the one that Byron largely resides and calls home, and uses to kind of channel his power. Like these things, they're like, his is not even movable, right? It is a stationary giant artifact. And so you're thinking of other Eidolons, like little ones, like the portable one you have. This thing every now and then, like, it self-destructs and you have to recreate it, right? Because they're not stable enough outside of the context of the big one. And you know that other Eidolons are like that too. Like they come and they go, or like you have to like work really hard to make them and then they get destroyed. So the amount of demonic being there are like multiple beings on the demonic plane. It's not that there's not demonic plane with dimension, whatever, but rather that like there's less differentiation, like less boundaries between beings are kind of porous over there, versus here, once they're summoned into the Spire's plane, they're given much more shape and direction and thought. So I think that your brain would go more towards like, to get that much Drek and sulfur on the street, like you're kind of running calculations and you're thinking like Eidolons must be being made and destroyed at quite alarming rates somewhere. Which would take a lot of material, fleshy
Yeah.
is.
And let's see, where did the note say that this murder happened?
Backstage at
Backstage at my concert, yeah.
And where was your concert? Was it here in Perch? No.
It was in Perch.
Oh, okay.
It
Sounds
was
very difficult to have a concert in Perch.
it was at a bar called the Hanging Spittoon.
Okay.
All right, gotta write that down now.
I just inserted lore.
Hanging
Let's go.
spittoon.
Hanging spittoon. They have spittoons hanging from the walls and people spit.
it's the gimmick.
Yeah, it's
I
their
love it.
gimmick. You never know when you're gonna get hit with the
With a
someone
nice
trying to
glob.
shoot.
She was
for a
really
hanging
performing to a really classy crowd.
Well, I mean, like it's
So-
it's an event, so like she books the venue and they show up. They don't hang
That's
out there
fair, that's fair.
normally. So
Interesting. Okay.
but I mean, like
Start
Perch, I would
moving.
imagine doesn't have that many. I mean, it's like like you're in threat of like your entire section might collapse at any given point in time. And there's like an entire section of Perch which is like covered in bird shit. So I'm like, how classy is it really here?
It's true.
So just so that like I'm aware as far as like the nature of the interaction between demons and elves and whatnot. When there is an incursion, it's therefore almost entirely a one-sided thing. Like it is someone on our side making this thing happen. It's not really the opposite, right? It's not like
Correct.
demons want to make this incursion happen.
Right. I think that there
necessarily.
is some interest on the demonic side of things. Like there are beings there that like desire in a rough way to be in Spire, right? To have access to flesh to eat and things like that. But when demonic incursions happen, the way that people typically experience them, and actually the Aelfir have weaponized demonic incursions, right? They basically
Yes.
make explosions, right? So like what typically happens when in controlled circumstances, when they intend to make demonic incursions, is like unstable eidolons that they kind of pack with power and then let go, boom, right? And it kind of creates this moment of like rift between the two planes that then just wipes out anything within a radius depending on how big it is. But that's not
Mhm.
sustainable for demons to stay in the Spire plane, which is why demons want things like living eidolons or permanent eidolons that have people that tend to them, right? If they want to be present, but it also takes them kind of being present before that desire fully takes shape, because it's created, it's like a chicken and egg scenario of like it's kind of exists before it's there, but it also has to like be in place for it to grow, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think basically what that all means is that I mean for Edic then he has two kind of main sources of intrigue right now. One is across the table from him, and then the other one is just kind of this ambiguous something is going on with these murders. But yeah. So there's nice little insight into the mind of Edic right now, everyone.
Sarah, were you going to say something from
I'm just gonna ask, like, whenever we start, I just, once we start traveling toward this informant type person, I want to do something. So I don't want to, I'm
well,
waiting until that
assuming
happens.
Rauka, I almost said Calvi. Assuming
It's
Rauka
okay.
is
It's okay.
is going to start leading the party towards, is it Guiltree,
yeah.
right? Then
Guiltree,
let's
yep.
go ahead and say that you are on your way now in Perch to Guiltree.
Okay,
Is it
so
Guilt Tree
as
or Guild Tree?
Gill tree, like fish gill and a tree. Put them together.
Like Final Fantasy Gill and a tree.
Yes.
So as we're moving as a loose group, following Rauka, I like put my hand on Chu and I look at her concerningly and I say, "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you mention about the swan? You think you're in danger?"
Well, it was fairly recent, and I thought it best to go through official routes. You know, it's much easier to act on these things if we have the backing of the ministry.
And looks a little concerned, but nods. That's it. Want to check in.
On our how long is this walk about?
You've got to kind of make your way. You got to climb some ladders. You probably have 15, 20 minutes.
The entire time I'm looking for things that I can pocket that would be useful for various purposes.
Okay.
The entire time, Chu is also like grabbing small objects and just like chucking them off the. Get out of here! Yeah.
So fucking petty. Why?
Okay. Sam, did you want to make a roll like with your pursue for artifacts kind of thing? Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll say it's Are you specifically looking for magical or things that could be used for occult purposes?
Yeah, I'm
right?
looking for things that could be used in my rituals
Okay.
rituals to thereby make creations.
Right. Okay, yeah. So we're going to call it pursue with your knack, and then this is going to be low society.
I don't have that. Okay.
I know, right? Imagine
So
being a
that's
peasant.
It's a 2d10 right there. All right, so I'm gonna use my ability, and once per session, I get to re-roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Why don't you describe to me what Attic would pick up?
Sure. So I think most of the time, Edic is just looking for raw materials. But I think right now he's kind of looking for something that would service as the kind of centerpiece for whatever he's creating. And it's probably nothing too large. Probably something small with some unique geometries that I can exploit. And I mean, so literally everything within Perch that is a small thing is worshipped. Is that right? All objects?
And especially useful things.
Okay, well, if I see something, if I can snag something out of the air that Chu has thrown, then I'll probably use that. So I would like, if that can be canon, that's what I do.
I love it. I think that I like the idea that maybe and you can tell me, Ava, if you agree this would be something Chu would do. Chu snatches things that catch her eye. Oh, that's kind of pretty, right?
Yeah.
And then might toy with it or play with it for a minute before chucking it. So by the time you're chucking it, there's no way to return it necessarily to where it came from. And I think that one of the things that Chu grabs is this kind of pinwheel ornament type thing that was hanging, and there are things like this, right? Ropes are holy and they're everywhere in Perch, and people hang things on them and leave them there as kind of tokens of appreciation to the gods in them and things like that. And so this is kind of a pinwheel style ornament that someone has hung on it that Chu snatched off of it, and as she goes to chuck it, you manage to snag it.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so
I don't think she's maliciously dropping them down off the side. I think she's just haphazardly tossing them wherever. So yeah, I think you'd have an easy time snatching.
Yeah, so I think with this, I would say that it's probably like if it's a pinwheel kind of thing, maybe it's like got like glass in it,
Sure.
as well as these ropes and stuff. And I think it's gonna turn into quite the nice like non-Euclidean mobile.
Okay.
Really excited for
Yeah.
that.
Great.
Yeah.
I would, while this is happening, while this is happening, and Chu is throwing things off. I mean, not like she said, not angrily, because I know Rauka pretty well, and I also like know Chu well enough. Like we're not close, but I've worked with her, but I know Rauka very well. I am gonna do my damnedest to completely try and distract him so he doesn't see like that she is not in his like peripheral vision. He doesn't see this happening because like none of it means anything to me. I couldn't give a fuck. But like I know that this would just break Rauka and make him so sad. And so I'm doing everything to just be like rambling off whatever random information about Spire and gods and demons and all these things and asking him questions and trying to distract him and just talking a whole bunch. So yeah, that'd be what I would be doing.
Rauka is also at the lead of the group, and so as assuming she was behind, I think between being in the front and having Alvi there, just like, did you know? And just like,
right. If he starts to like turn his head back around, I'd be like, actually, if you see that thing right over there, it actually connects to this other thing. If you knew that this background of it would just,
Block this whole time as we're walking, I'm just like observing everyone and gathering information. Just like, okay, so this is who these people are. These are their, challenges and opportunities within them.
challenge. Bless. All right. Without without much further ado, you arrive at the familiar to Rauka, home/business front of Giltree.
It's awful bold of him to sell drugs out of his home, but I'm not going to knock him for it.
It's Perch. Okay, fine. I guess he doesn't.
No, I want this to be canon now. I need this to be canon.
Nice guy.
Nice guy.
Gonna go and do like the knock that Rauka has insisted is his secret knock, and Giltree probably, it's like you really don't need to do that every time. And
Yeah, totally.
Rauka is very insistent that this is his knock.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that.
Okay. Yeah, you do the knock, and you hear some shuffling and some movement, and the door opens and your friend Giltree is there. Giltree's a little bit older than you, has a bunch of ropes kind of hanging from his like his shoulders, and one of them is always tied in. He's a little bit paranoid, even in his house, which it's not that unusual in Perch, honestly, to be tied into something besides your own house, because if your house falls, like, you might survive if you're tied into something. So you can see it's like on this little like pulley system that he has so that he can move around his house without like being impeded by the rope, but his rope is like tied into something, and he sees you and like sees this kind of crowd behind you and is just immediately like, hi, wow, this is new.
Do people get paid to live in Perch?
Do what?
Do people get paid to live in Perch?
Like in Alaska, where like you get back your tax money to live there?
I was thinking, wow, the cost of living here must be non-existent. No, they have to pay you to live here, because why would anyone do it?
Yeah, well, there's nowhere else to go. The Spire is contained as the population grew.
So.
The space didn't, so now Derelictus and Perch are overflow population sites, basically. Yeah. Yeah, so
I am I'm here. May we come in? It's about the track.
That's in character. He covers his eyes.
Yes. Good.
You better, I guess, because fuck, like opens the door and just is like, come on, and like looks, like it's just like kind of, yeah, get in, and sees Chew and is kind of like tries to like kind of look under the hood to like, because he thinks maybe he recognizes her.
Wait,
What
oh
does
no,
this
I'm
house
keeping
look
my
like
hood
inside?
down,
Like
like
over your face,
yeah,
like you can't
once
see.
like I'm looking at the ground. Yeah, I'm not looking at this person
Okay. Okay.
because she
Yeah.
doesn't. I don't want to be like associated with like drug because I'm like a public figure. So like
Bitch.
I'm like
It's gonna hurt your image.
Yeah.
the closer we got, into the area, I assume that I would like very much just be like, "Woot," and just
Okay.
everything is chill.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, the house is like many houses in Perch. Like, people don't have a whole lot of stuff in Perch because, things get lost very easily. A lot of things look cobbled together by, like, I got a bunch of wood and I'm not a woodworker or a furniture builder, but I sure did make that chair over there. Just because now someone has somewhere to sit at least. There's a hole in the ceiling where something crashed through. It has long since been cleaned up, so you have no idea what it was, but the ceiling hasn't been fixed. And like I said, there's just ropes, pulley systems of ropes that go through the hole where something crashed through and like connect up into the gutter and other things like that. And then there's a hallway that leads further back that is kind of dark and turns a corner so you can't see very easily, which Giltree kind of positions himself in front of. Not in like a super obvious way, but in a like you would have to go past Giltree to get further into his home, right? Kind of way. And stands there kind of with his arms crossed. And like again, just kind of like rubs at his eyes and is just like, Rauka, what's this? What's going on?
So as I'm kind of just every time I come to see Giltree, I also put my rope through the elaborate pulley system to make sure I'm nice and secure. Have you? It's related to the track problem.
Yeah, I got that.
That we've talked about.
That. Mm-hmm. And all
okay,
of
great.
these people are.
We're all okay with drugs, so you don't need to worry about us.
Oh,
so they're
charming.
They are a collection of investigators that are looking into the problem. They approached me. They said, you look weird. Could you help us with this? And I said, surprisingly, yes. And here we are.
Likely story.
We're not drug investigators though. We're not. We're murder investigators. We investigate murders.
It's technically tied to another thing. We don't need to get into that. I'm wondering, have the idols in the area, has anyone by the name of Callisto Brox or Lorelei purchased sulfur through you, or maybe a fellow business person in the market that might have sold to them?
I mean, people like Callisto Brox and Lorelei don't buy their own drugs. Like, they send people to buy drugs.
Well, like,
you go ahead. Tell me how the drug business works.
No, it's yeah, no, it's I don't know. You get a friend and you say, hey, you go buy drugs for me, and then the friend buys drugs and they bring it back. Do you have like the friend, the name of the friend that we could go and say hello? Did
okay.
You bought
because we're friends, yeah. Rauka, let's go through this as a thought experiment. Okay, you're someone famous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want everyone to know you're using drugs. So you have a friend go to get the drugs for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell your friend before they go to make sure that nobody knows it was you?
Don't tell them they're for me.
Don't tell them they're for you. Yeah, so I mean, it could be any person, nobody that stands out as like obviously working for Callisto Brox or Lorelei. Like, they don't have like their names tattooed on their foreheads or something, like the idols' names. Because some people do that. Have you seen some of Chu's people have like her little kiss thing just like stamped on their forehead?
That's a very dangerous thing. They shouldn't do that.
Could we just get a list of maybe of all the people that bought drugs
Just
from you
a list
recently?
of my buyers. A list of
Yes,
Oh,
I think
that's-
that would be really
we don't need
helpful.
that. We really don't need that,
We could
Giltree.
get a list, and then we could look into it, and then you wouldn't have
Listen.
to be concerned anymore.
Look, I'm not giving you a list of my buyers. What I can tell you is you're not the only drug investigators, and he gives Rauka this look like, really, who have come by knocking on people's doors lately.
Oh,
I told you, man, it's a big fucking deal right now. All this dreck, it's not good. It's not good for any of us. And look, there's this guard captain. His name is Emmett something. Emmett Venride. Emmett Venride. I'm pretty sure that's it. I've had people complaining to me about him. He's shaking up all his leads about Drek. Okay, it's like it's his case, I guess, to figure out what's going on with the Drek. So he's been looking into this stuff too. I don't know who's buying drugs for idols. I'm not giving you a list of buyers. Like, that's insane.
well, no. They list of buyers. That was, well, not me. I'm not an investigator, but I've been told they ask. It's like could you do this? And some people are like, yes, here's all my buyers. And
yeah, and usually you get
that
something
leads somewhere,
back,
I'm
like
sure.
Drug dealers have been very, very forthcoming with their buyer lists. So I just thought maybe that you would also be cooperative.
Yeah, in the middle of this, Chu is gonna like tug on Din's like sleeve and like whisper into her ear and just be like, ask if they can tell us about like dead people, and then ask about I didn't have to look up their name just now because they're my best friend. Ask about Brienne and Melfern, my producer, and ask if they ever bought the drug. And I'll kind of like go back to like being quiet in the back and like not preparing anything.
Okay. As Alvi was saying insane things.
Oh dear.
Din, right? From Din's perspective, right? Because Din's like, why are you drawing attention? Like, that's the last thing that Din ever wants. Din like kind of backed toward the door because like sensing like this could be dangerous. It doesn't seem like Giltree wants to tell us this information, and I want to make sure I can get out of here. And so when there's like a lull when it is clear that Giltree is not going to give this list of buyers. I step a little forward to make myself more seen. And I kind of like pull back my hood because again I keep it generally kind of covered, and I look at Giltree and I ask, have there been deaths? Have you heard of any deaths associated lately? Anyone notable? We won't leave soon. We won't bother you anymore. We're just trying to fix the problem.
I don't know about notable people. I think I saw something in the paper today about someone from that one Idle Choose group or whatever. If that's what you mean by notable, I mean, I don't know, but deaths, yeah. There's been deaths. Drek is nasty shit. And there's so much of it out there right now. Not only is that bad for my business, because people who come to me for the real shit, for sulfur, get Drek way cheaper now. So I can't sell sulfur to half the people who used to buy it because now they're hooked on this other shit, and it is killing people. Look, I don't like guard captains any more than the next drug dealer, but the man called it an epidemic when I talked to him, and I don't think he's wrong. It's more people dead from drugs than is good for the city in a lot of ways. So, yeah, there's been deaths. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's what I got.
Thank you.
Quick question. So remember we had like a really heated argument a while ago. You know, you thought that I was responsible for the Drek. I wasn't. Did you by chance, you know, name drop me to the captain or anything that I should be aware of?
Do I look like a? Are you kind of like?
No,
whacks
I
you
just-
up the
I
side of the
worry.
head. It's like, Rauka, what do you think I am? I don't. I talked to that captain for like 3 minutes, and I told him I don't know, and he was like, "Oh, there's an epidemic. Oh, don't you want to help the fellow citizens?" And I was like, "No, leave, because that's what I do."
Giltry's on Narc. Giltry's on Narc.
And then I have one more question. Was there a priest of the small gods that would come to you to buy sulfur in the past?
To buy sulfur. I don't think so. Unless, I mean, not all priests of the small gods wear. I mean, they've got all the ropes and stuff, but otherwise.
Would you mind if I sent a buyer your way? You could take a portion of the sulfur. I can give it to you at a more reasonable discount to offset the cost of their sulfur, if that's okay.
Yeah. Send me a buyer. We'll work something out.
Good. What you have been so very helpful. I think the investigators know that you know nothing, which is good. I think it means you're not incriminated in anything, which is wonderful. I was worried. Not that you're a criminal. Well, you're a bad guy, but you're not the bad guy. You know what I mean. Okay. We're just going to.
Just go in.
I'll see you. I'll see
right?
you later, Giltry.
Okay.
And I start to unhook myself and get ready to go.
And
If
I'll
you
just kind of like lean into Giltry and be like, I wouldn't say that you know nothing. It seems like you know a lot about drugs. So I think that you're fine in that regard. And I'll just kind of turn around and, and start to walk out.
If you talk to Emmett, you didn't fucking hear about it from me, okay?
Nope. I heard it from no one. I heard it from the wind.
There you go. From the wind. Right. Yeah.
How far is the graveyard of the small gods from here?
I'd say probably reasonably close. I don't think you would go super far
Okay.
so maybe another 10-minute walk /
We should
climb.
probably go see that captain, right?
I mean, we should, but who's going to speak to a captain of the guard about drugs? What exactly is our, you know, what we
actually
do
have
is
it
not
in there.
exactly
That would
out.
be quite easy for me.
Oh,
And I say, give me just a moment, and I will kind of like go over into an alleyway and like put down like a little makeup kit and pull out like a little compact mirror and begin like applying makeup. And I use a spell called Glamour, which says black magic and poise let you become whoever someone else wants you to be. Once per situation, choose an NPC. I choose the Captain Guard. Using a cocktail of charm, practiced poise, and semi-legal black magic, you change your appearance to represent their ideal partner. You don't get to determine what this looks like. It's entirely reliant on the person you're targeting, and you can end the spell by scrubbing off whatever makeup you've applied and spending 5 minutes in front of a mirror remembering what you look like. Whatever your target prefers, you'll always look like you, so you don't become like a totally different person. If they're obsessed with tall people, you'll look taller. If they like Aelfir, you'll look as though you have some Aelfir blood in you. If they're mad about one particular person, you'll resemble them, but not enough to pass as that person, just, with just the
Right.
spell.
Okay.
And that's the entire thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I don't become like a fuzzy like rat person or something. I'm just like shit.
Yeah, so we're gonna stop here because it is
No.
9:20. And we would only have 10 minutes to get into anything else. So we're gonna stop here with Chu in kind of a side alley, kind of applying this makeup and channeling this magic with a target in mind. So yeah, you get to find out beginning of next session what Chu kind of looks like as you go to find the guard captain. And that's where we're gonna stop for the night. So oh gosh, the next 2 Thursdays are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So, so we're probably not playing on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve is my guess, because like probably, I know I at least have things to do on one of those days.
I sure don't.
Well,
I don't
All
have
my
anything on
family
New
lives in
Year's,
California.
yeah. So maybe we could either find a different day that everybody has free that they want to play, or we can just say, oh, well, we played one game and now it's a 2-week hiatus. But yes. This
season chunk of Spire's done.
Yeah, it's over. That was it. This was the whole thing.
that was it.
Tomorrow, the Helpful Goat crew
Fates of
is
Rin?
playing Fates of Rin at 7
o'clock.
Yes, not
With
Central. What
me.
are we in? Mountain time?
Mountain.
9 Eastern time. And then on
And I'm in it.
Tuesday, we're playing Tier Moontrain Isle because it would be on
I didn't
Christmas.
know that was actually legitly decided on either.
I think
Sorry.
It's most likely happening, is my guess.
Okay.
So Moontrain Isle is being hopefully done on Tuesday, but we don't actually know for sure. So maybe Tuesday. Keep your eye on the Discord, using !Discord in the chat to join us if you're not already with us.
Salt Marsh is probably Wednesday.
Salt Marsh is maybe Wednesday. And you can also follow us on Twitter to get other updates. Yep. Well, Galway, you sent me a private message saying I can talk about it. So here I am talking about it. So with that said, thanks for joining us for the season arc chunk finale. This is it again. We finished kickoff for Spire. And I hope you've enjoyed the kind of setup, the mystery of these murders and this drug infusion and the demon shit going down. I also was thinking about it when you guys were introducing your characters, and I was like, do we have any healing spells among any of the characters? Does anybody have anything that heals anybody? I don't think so. Fun.
You will have a death.
You guys are gonna have to do a lot of refreshing. You're gonna have to really seek those refreshes.
I'm certain I can beseech some demons and get some healing.
We shall see. Okay. So with all of that said, thanks players, thanks audience, friends in chat, and we will see you, I don't know when, maybe in 2 weeks after Christmas / New Year's, maybe sooner if we can find another time to play. And with that said, good night.
Good night,
Au revoir.
everybody.
Good night.